Greetings, everyone. It's rolled around again. Here we are again, Friday. Greetings, fellow Fattercasters and everyone else who's watching. It's starting to feel a bit spring-like, isn't it? Even up in the windswept far reaches of Teesside. I took the dog out for a walk today, and I didn't need to put a coat on. Imagine that. Yes. It won't last. It never does. It's apparently it's going to get colder in the coming days, but we'll enjoy it while it's here. So, yes, anyway, cheers, everyone. It's beer o'clock. Carlsberg export again. Right, let's see who we've got in, who was first through the door today. Oh, Rent to Kill. Yes, your crown has been nobbled, sir. We got David James first through the door with Rent to Kill hot on his heels. Then Terry Day. Why isn't this scrolling? Dave Fiendish, Joe McMurray, Johnny Random, Francis Chambers, Steve Emerson, Paul Traynor, no less, and Peter Nicholson. And there's Paul Traynor again, as regular as clockwork every week. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. And then we got Anton, Stephen Polk, Cylon Hybrid, Vincent Brennan, Theme Tunes, who's also been taking in the raise this afternoon, sipping drinks, watching the golf until it's Fattercast. Watching the golf? It takes all sorts, I suppose. Excuse me. Then we got Tom Clark, Balder64, Ian Clark, who will be listening in the car but hope to be home for the guitar porn. Smooth necks and curvy bodies to run fingers over with G-strings pressing on nuts. Yes, you've been watching Milehouse Studios, haven't you, mate? Where you're picking up that kind of talk from. Mickey Walnut is in, so is Dave Snack Stevens, and... Oh, just jumped then. We got Peter Collins, Mark Kernow, and Dave Lewis. There's John Ross and Dr. Gomez 1. Stephen Hedger is in. Let's put you up on screen there, mate. Anyone interested in owning a custom-built Stratocaster for a really good price, please get in contact. Do that. If you don't have Stephen's contact details, then get in touch with me, grguitartuition@gmail.com, and hopefully Stephen will get in touch with me as well, and I can put interested parties together. We got Marcel Koenigs, Grandpa Joe. What's your question for today, mate? My question for you today is, what snack or food complements your choice of beer? Wishing everyone a happy Friday and weekend. Consider joining John's Patreon. Always reliable. I can always rely upon you, Joe. You should be my marketing manager. Thank you so much, mate. I can answer that one. The best thing to go with beer is curry, and the house. The whole house today smells absolutely divine because I've been batch cooking a load of chicken madras for the freezer and left some of it out for tonight's evening meal, as is customary. So, with the house smelling the way it is, my obvious answer is it's got to be beer. It's got to be curry that goes with beer, rather. We've got PFY Guitars. We've got Nathan, 60s Man. Doc Alders is in. Have I said Vincent Brennan? I can't remember. I got sidetracked, but I just did there, so I have said it. Gordo Canuck is in. Let's scroll down. The chat keeps jumping tonight. I do apologise if I miss you. We have Gary Shaw, session guitar legend, as I dub him whenever I read the roll call. Nice bloke and a hell of a guitarist. We got Grumpy Horse, Johnny D, Michael Dodds, who tells me there's a guitar shop open in Stockton, which is pretty local to me. I might have to just jump on a. I was going to say a Cleveland Transit, but that has been around for years. I'm showing my age there to people who know this area. I'll jump on a bus and go and check it out. We got Blue Sofa Songs, Calby and the Rocco Cat. Amadeus is in, so is Michael Purcell, Robin Fawcett, Colin Falcon, local boy. Steve Cassidy Guitar was listening to your live stream this morning, actually, as I was cooking said batch of chicken madras. Rexamatic is in. Greeting. Good. Well, let's put you up on screen because it's easier to read these long messages when I can see them slightly bigger on screen. Good morning from Phoenix. Starting to warm up here. I've been playing the Gibson SG Special, Rain Song Acoustic, and the new Hills Headless this week. What are you playing this week? Well, great minds think alike, mate. Great minds think alike because... well, I've got the video on Sunday which I'm going to talk about after I've done the roll call, will explain what I'm playing at the moment. It's a video about exactly that. We got Eric Luttinger, Frank Boland, Brad Dowell, and Triple Distilled. Excuse me. That's better out than in. Let's have a little bit of a look further down. We got Guitar Bass Dude, William Forrest, Jerry White, Moon's Guitars, all the way from Glasgow. And now the coughing has started. That's how you can tell it's live. Guitar Bass Dude is in, as is Malcolm Spillett, Graham Campbell, and Ollie M. We got Mr. Chris in there as well, regular in this parish. So there's Chris Ottawell, no relation. They're both called Chris, but, you know, yeah, of course it will be related. That's surnames, isn't it? Peter Hall, Matty B is in the Dela 22, and Nick Shaw. Who else we got? We got Martin Bix, and let's have a little bit of a scroll down. Ian Mason and Cal Texper is there. So is Peter Collins, and who else? Who else have we got? We got. I've said Ian Mason, I can't remember, I just did if I hadn't, so there you go. We got Jay Aoyong, always towards the south end of the chat, Mr. Aoyong, but glad he's here nonetheless. And I believe that is everybody. I do apologise if I've missed you. For some reason, the chat is a little bit glitchy tonight. When I logged into StreamYard today to set the stream up, it did come up with a message saying, you know, there are some kind of issues that they're having, but as long as we can stream, we're all right. Right, let's tell you what's coming up on the channel this week. Sunday's video, as I've just alluded to in that response to Rexamatic, is all about my daily drivers, the guitars that I pick up on a daily basis, the ones that I just seem to reach for because they are, you know, for whatever reason, currently flavour of the month and have been for some time. There's 3 of them, and regular viewers will no doubt already know which 3 guitars they are. But if you're not a regular viewer, or maybe if you are a regular viewer, maybe it will surprise you. But yes, just kind of basically a homage to my favourite guitars is Sunday's video. Then Monday, oh, excuse me, I do apologise. I'm a little bit kind of not finding me rhythm yet, but we'll get there. Monday's video is a blues lesson. We're talking all about the vaudeville blues this week. Now, I didn't know that such a style of blues existed until I started researching the chord sequence concerned. And the chord sequence concerned is the one that, if you know of it, you will recognise from the Derek and the Dominoes or Eric Clapton unplugged performance of Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out, which I think isn't it an old Bessie Smith number? But yeah, it's an interesting chord sequence to play over, and it's a bit like that sort of Need Your Love So Bad kind of blues. You can't really just get away with sitting, well, you can, but I was going to say you can't really get away with sitting on a single blues scale or pentatonic. You can, and I illustrate that in the video, but there's a lot more you can do with it to enhance it. So that's what we're looking at on Monday. Basically a blues guitar lesson. I bet you're shocked. A blues guitar lesson on John Robson's channel. Who'd have thunk it? Then Tuesday's video is another top 5. Do you remember a few weeks ago I did a video where I was talking about 5 songs that even though you don't own copies of those songs, whenever they come on the radio, you always just turn the volume up a little bit because, you know, you think, oh, I like this one. Well, it's another 5 of those. Then Wednesday is another new track from the album project that I've got going on at the moment. Let me just get this glare off my noggin, see if I can do something about that. There we go, and turn that down. Oh, that's a bit dark, isn't it? That'll do. Yeah, it's another track from the album, all the usual stuff, a full performance of the track, an explanation of what's going on, or a potted kind of summary of an explanation, and some kind of I guess rationale for what was going through my mind as I was playing it. That's Wednesday's video. Then on Thursday, you may recall a few weeks ago on the live stream, I unboxed a really cheap but suspiciously highly spec'd guitar from Gear for Music. That HSS Stratocaster kind of thing that has like an ash body and stainless steel frets and Wilkinson bits and pieces plastered all over it for £79. Well, on Thursday, you're going to see my first impressions of it. People say, why do you wait so long to do that video? Well, I did that video like literally the day after I'd done the live stream here, where I unboxed it, but the videos are scheduled that far in advance. I'm currently working on videos for the second week in May at the moment, so that kind of gives you basically about a 4-week lead time on me kind of, sitting in front of this webcam and going, hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition, and then the editing and everything, all that together. It'll go out like a month or so after I've made it. So there you go, folks. That's what's coming up on the channel this week. And what's this mithering me about here? It's just a message from StreamYard. It's not something I'm going to bother with. Let's have a look, see what's going on in the chat while I've been blethering. Johnny Random saying, Paul Daniels thinks it's the best chord sequence ever. Paul Daniels as in the magician who died a few years ago. Or is there another Paul Daniels? Peter Nicholson saying, John, what's your video on books? Well, if I ever pass a charity shop, yeah, both those books, I've got them here. The Ultimate Guitar book. Many thanks to Jim, the chap who sent me those 2 lovely vintage guitars, for sending me this as well. I already had a copy of it. It was all dog-eared and coffee-stained. Brilliant book. And the other book that I've mentioned many times is the Guitar Handbook. Again, essential reading for all guitar players, and you can pick them up if you're lucky in second-hand shops. What have I missed in the chat? Malcolm Spillett saying, I'm very democratic about my electric guitars and play them all in the order they sit in the rack. Yeah, I would like to be like that and give each one a fair shake, but it's there are some days when I just think that one today, and then I'll play that for a week. Oh no, I'm going to change, and it's the same 3 or 4 guitars in rotation. Let's have a look. Anything else I've missed? Jimmy James is saying, yeah, glitchy, I've crashed already. Is everybody else hearing me okay? Any other glitches that I need to know about? Not that I can do anything about it here. It's not like I can phone somebody up at StreamYard and give them a piece of my mind and say, sort it out. But it would be nice to know if it is happening, okay, kind of reasonably smoothly. Let's have a little bit of a look. Here, what else we got? Daler22 have put that guitar up by almost double, really. There was a weird thing that when I bought it, I did notice it was $79.99, and then you could buy a nearly new one for $129.99. So that it did suggest to me that there was some perhaps inconsistency in the pricing. Somebody, the left hand not telling the right hand what's going on, so to speak. But I'm just glad I snagged a bargain. So that's the video on Thursday. Anyway, Michael Purcell is saying, liking the album tracks I've heard so far. Well, thank you very much, mate. Thank you. I mean, I'm hardly in a place to be unbiased about them. Can hear and see fine here, says Moon's Guitars. All good in Ealing, says Blue Sofa Songs. Yeah, Malcolm Spillett saying the chat is erratic here, but seems to have reverted to normal now. Good. Well, it's nice to know it wasn't just me, because it was like I'd go to click on something to put it up on screen, and then it had just jumped, and you end up accidentally clicking on something that you didn't mean to, and you can, you'll tell the wife that anyway. But yeah, so where was it? Yes, the gear for music guitar. That's it's a puzzling one, and you'll find out more in the subsequent videos. Just not to give too many spoiler alerts, you tend to know that if I'm doing a first impressions video on a guitar on a Thursday, then the subsequent Sunday video will be the full review of it, and that's the case here. So not this Sunday, but a week on Sunday, Easter Sunday, no less. There will be like the full review of that guitar, and yeah, it was a puzzling one, that guitar. So you'll find out why when you see the full review. Peter Hall saying the gear for music LA Select was £99 for ages, and then they became popular on YouTube. Well, well, I don't want to kind of give too much away here, but let's just say that the guitar is no longer at Robson Towers. It has gone elsewhere and will end up raising some money for charity. So the fact that the price has gone up and will be, kind of be inflated by the time it hits the charity fundraising circuit means that it's a good thing for the charity. Jay Aoyong saying, agreed. Last one in the Lydian mode was great, had that Satriani vibe. Didn't catch the name of that one, though. It was called Pig's Ear, mate. And, I still get questions about, well, why is it called Pig's Ear? Well, it's because all of the tunes are named after dog treats. And, Pig's Ears. Dougal gets a Pig's Ear every evening. And, it's just it's his little bit of supper about 8 o'clock. And it is something that he rather enjoys. I imagine, I've never tasted one, nor am I going to, but I imagine it has something of the pork scratchings flavour about it. So anyway, he seems to enjoy them. And this week's one that's coming up, I think, if I've got my chronology right, it might be the final track on the album. It's a tune called Yak Snack, which is another dog treat. Win a lot chunks to close, says Johnny D. No, he doesn't get those. He gets win a lot shapes, though. And there was a track called Shapes earlier in the cycle. Anyway, something I want to talk to you about. Because everybody else is talking about it, and I'll feel left out if I don't have my say on this. I only found out about this from Steve's live stream early this morning, Steve Cassidy, where he was talking about this fella called Giacomo Chura, or I think that's the correct pronunciation, who is some whiz-bang kind of shreddy guitar player who's been caught out plagiarising other whiz-bang shreddy guitar players on Instagram and elsewhere. And it's, of course, then I pulled at the thread, didn't I, and kind of saw what was going on. And there was, I can't remember the name of the guy, but there was one guy who was sort of, exposing this and showing like the original performance and then the one that this Giacomo fella had kind of done side by side. And, they were absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, note for note rip-offs of other people's solos. Which, I mean, you got to congratulate the bloke to some degree for being able to rip off solos that are as complex and shreddy and difficult as this. But, he is, or he has been, I don't know if he still is, kind of stealing other people's music and passing it off as his own, which is, there's no other way of putting it, is it? Is there? It's a proper scumbag thing to do. And apparently he's been called out on it, and the internet, or the guitar internet, is in uproar. But my takeaway from this is that just how fragmented the community is, because, I'm a guitar player. I make a significant amount of my revenue, that my income, from YouTube. So you would think that any big scandal that had blown up like this would be something that would be well on my radar. But, it just isn't. It's never cropped up. Nothing regarding this has cropped up in my YouTube feed. And it took, as I say, Steve Cassidy to be talking about it on his live stream for me to know, A, of the existence of the bloke, and B, of the scandal that he's embroiled in. And then like a pendulum swinging back and forth. There's a backlash against him, and then there's a backlash against the backlash, which I'm not sure I have much sympathy with the backlash against the backlash. The bloke's been caught doing a pretty scummy thing, and there needs to be some sort of reprimand that is unpleasant for him to the degree that he learns not to do it again. I'm not saying that you should, that there should be a mob with pitchforks and burning torches. But when it's just people calling him a bit of a scumbag on the internet, well, don't be a scumbag. That's my take on it. Dave Lewis is saying, John, has Dougal had one of those deer antlers yet? My daughter's little dog loves them. Oh yes, the stag bar. Yes, he loves a stag bar. But he's lazy. You have to get the ones that have been split down the middle so he can get the marrow out without having to work too hard for it. It's just, but yes, he does love them. Cal B is saying, bigger things to worry about than a guy who copies others, the Xerox shredder. So yeah, fair enough. I could have put it like that much more succinctly, couldn't I? But as I say, the point I was making was that you would think that somebody who's like me, who's a YouTube guitar player and thinks of himself as being plugged into the YouTube guitar fraternity, would know about such things. But it just, as I say, it points out to me that people talk about the YouTube guitar community, but it's not. It's a pretty fragmented thing. If there can be something as big as that blowing up, and it just doesn't appear in. I don't get a chance to watch a lot of videos, but I scroll through my feed a lot, and there's nothing that I've scrolled past or kind of bookmarked to watch later that has had any indication of that. Rent to kill, what you're saying there, mate. I had some bars once thinking they're chocolate bars, turned out to be dog bars. Still tasted nice. Dogs weren't happy though. I've never eaten dog chocolate, unknowingly so. Gary Shaw's saying, read the gear page. Okay, that's something that I've heard of, but I don't, I don't get a chance to do a lot of. Kind of recreational, web surfing these days, because it's always, I need to find out this information for a video, or I need to find out this, or I need to find that. So it's the time I get for just kind of scrolling through YouTube just for my own interest is, very limited, I would say. Searching for tone. If anyone stole anything that was mine musically, they would go out of business. Don't do yourself down, mate. Let's have a look. What else have we got to talk about? Moon's Guitars is saying, yes, Steve's stream was the first I'd heard of this Giacomo guy too, as well. Michael Purcell saying, will it sound like yakety yak? No, it won't. I'll give you that's talking about Yak Snack. And it starts off with a fingerstyle acoustic part, and then goes into like a melody played on electric, and then goes on to a big shouty chorus with high gain sounds. What would you expect other than that? and then I do the kind of the Westlife trick at the end of this one, where you know the Westlife trick where they would stand up and get off the bar stools and the modulate upper tone for the final chorus. I pulled that old chestnut out of the bag for this one. Oh, the lamb is in the house. Thank you so much, mate. Good afternoon, Fat Rose. Here's one for the fund and maybe some Dougal snacks. Well, thank you very much, mate. Let's have a look. Peter Hall is saying, I paid my YouTube channels down to 10. Any more stops me playing. Yeah, I've had recently had a cull of the channels that, you know, you watch a couple of videos 5 or 6 years ago and you subscribe, and then you realise that, well, I haven't watched any of that output in absolute donkey's years. So, you know, you just think, what's the point in pretending to be a fan of that channel? Because it does the channel no good either. You know, if they're getting, you know, if the subscriber count is too high for their amount of views, it sort of, you know, it starts to smell a bit fishy if a channel has got like you know, a huge amount of subscribers but nobody's watching their videos. So I don't want to contribute towards that, so I just, you know, I bail out. I did that. I have a sort of a bit of a spring clean of that nature every year, or I try to anyway. Peter Hall saying, if it's yakety yak, I can't wait for the video. I think I know what you mean there, mate. You're thinking of Yakety Sax, the outro from the Benny Hill show, aren't you? Yes. That was always something that would enliven a younger adolescent version of me. If you remember the Benny Hill show, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, where are we? Let's see if there's anything else I need to address before we go and look at some viewers' guitars. I almost said readers' wives, then you got me at it now. Oh, there's I'm Not Creative. Nice to see you in, mate. Steve Cassidy saying, I think my problem is I watch far too much Guitar Tube. Sometimes I call it research, though. Yeah, this is, you know, I think I remember of the moment where I made a conscious decision that, like, okay, I'm earning money from this. I've got to treat it as a job, and you know, and you put the hours in. So I mean, I'm up here in this what will be next weekend a spare bedroom again because we've got company coming for Easter. You know, I'm up here from at the very latest 8 a.m. every morning, and I'm tabbing solos and I'm making videos and I'm kind of doing all that sort of stuff before the lessons start, which is typically usually about 10 a.m. So you know, it's just you got to be disciplined, and you know, it's fortunately I seem to find that quite an easy thing to do. Fodzilla's saying, see the Epiphone Greenie on sale at for 1K at Anderton's. Still too dear for me. Yeah, every sort of the December, as it's getting towards Christmas, I always do a video of things I would like to see in the coming 12 months. And for about 3 years on the bounce, I said I really want to see an Epiphone Greenie. And then when it came out, it was a case of, well, be careful what you wish for, because I just found it, you know, I just thought, I don't like it in reality. Not that I played one, but I just don't like the look of it in reality as much as I was hoping I would. And it's just, yeah, and it's just, you know, once you're into a 4-figure sum for an Epiphone, I think that it's crossing a line there. I just, you know, I just would balk at spending that kind of money on something that still has the whiff of budget brand about it. Oh, I see we've got Robbie F. How are you, mate? Just off out to a meeting. Glad to catch the Friday stream for once. Well, nice to have you in, if only even briefly, mate. Right, shall we take a look at some guitar pictures? I think we should. Let me just open Windows Explorer and go to my YouTube channel, and in the YouTube folder rather, and in that folder there is a folder called live stream, and in the live stream folder there is viewers guitar pictures. That's what we're going to look at now. There's 10 to look at this week, and we're going to be starting with well, you'll see what we're going to be starting with in a couple of seconds, just as soon as I click on the necessary things like that. So this is the start of this week. This belongs to Bill Forwell, a vintage V69 coaster series. I'm not sure what the difference between the V69 and the VS6 was, but I used to have one of these, going back to about 2009, I think. Basically, the vintage branded SG copy. And at the time, I wasn't really loving it. I ended up moving it on. It just wasn't. I wasn't sort of feeling the love for the SG shape at the time. But I think I've changed on that now. But yeah. Great guitar. Then this is Cal B's Fender Mustang LT25. This is how Cal B makes himself nice and loud. Not an amp I've ever tried, but it looks like it's one of the current plethora of practice amps that does everything but walk the dog and make a cup of tea for you. How we would have killed for something like this way back in the dim and distant days of the early 80s when I was playing through. What was I playing through back then? After I'd graduated from plugging into the Amstrad Hi-Fi, some awful little kind of practice amp that had volume and tone on it, and that was about it. Then we've got Derek Clacton's first guitar, possibly a Yamaha. He doesn't know what it is, but it's, it's certainly got, I don't know, I mean, this was obviously in the days, let's have a look at that headstock. This was obviously in the days before Gibson got too litigious about the headstock shape, isn't it? Although it's not quite the open book thing, but it's a charming looking thing, isn't it? It's just got that sort of period written all over it of like 70s or possibly into the 80s of Japanese made guitars that ape the look of their more famous American brethren. Then we've got Graham Campbell's Epiphone J45. Good looking workhorse acoustic, if ever I saw one. Well, what can you say? It's, it immediately that's going to be a really nice guitar and it's going to sound good. It is what it is. Then this is a custom build made by Sam Deeks, renowned luthier. I say a custom build. The full story behind this, it belongs to a chap called Ian, as you can probably see at the top of the screen there. Ian had an eArt HSS, or was it HSH? Basically an eArt Bionic Strat kind of thing. And he didn't like it. He wasn't comfortable. He liked the neck, but, the bits and pieces he didn't like. So it was converted. It didn't start off as a headless guitar. Mr. Deeks did the conversion to the headless design and reshaped the body. And, this is, in a lot of ways, it looks a little bit like the Carvin Alan Holdsworth kind of guitar, doesn't it? But it's... I mean, Sam Deeks did it, so it's going to be great, don't you? Anyway, moving on. Jim Howard. Jim Howard is the Jim who sent me the vintage V75 reissued and the vintage V6 reissued. Video on both of those guitars coming up in the coming weeks, by the way. These are just some of his basses. Let's see if we can zoom in and see what the headstocks are. They look like, well, I think they all are. This one... I don't know if you can see my mouse pointer, but the one on the left and the one in the middle are definitely Harley Bentons, and this looks very much like some sort of Squire, probably a classic vibe. what's that? That's a jazz bass, that, isn't it? Or is it PG? I always get jazz basses and precision basses mixed up. I'm a real dunce when it comes to remembering the differences between those, but 3 nice looking basses. And 3 more nice guitars, including 1 bass that come from the same chap. A couple of acoustics, what looks very much like, is that an artist there, that logo at the top? Not sure what this middle one is. I do have all this in an email, but that's definitely a vintage there. But a lovely, kind of acoustic bass there as well. I remember completely out of nowhere. I remember the first, my way of discovering, shall we say, that acoustic basses existed was in the early 80s on Top of the Pops. The bass player from Haircut 100 was playing one. Then this is Malcolm Spillett's 12-string, a Yamaha by the looks of it. Yes, again, Yamaha, you can't really go wrong, can you? And it's a lovely looking example of the breed. Then Mr. Chris, this is his latest pride and joy. Mr. Chris, as you can probably tell, is a southpaw. He's a lefty, and this is his current favourite guitar because it's his newest guitar. Isn't it strange how your favourite guitar is always the most recent one? It's a Yamaha Rev Start. Looks very much like the one I used to have, only in a different colour. And mine was right-handed. And then the final selection for today. This is one of a couple of Harley Benton basses purchased relatively recently by Mr. Rob Bald. And, he's very happy with them, according to the email that he sent me with this, with a couple of pictures a couple of weeks ago. Oh, it was longer than that now. I do apologise. I just pick these pictures out at random every week, so apologies if you have to wait a few weeks to see yours, but it will get shown in the fullness of time. So there you go. That is this week's selection to drool over in the Viewers Guitars segment. Dr. Gomez is saying, looks like my Rev Star. Anyway, excuse me, chaps, I'm just going to refill. And we're not doing Viewers' Tales this week. Not because I've run out, but I'm just changing it up just for this week. We have, again, something of a different feature coming up as soon as I've poured this beer, had a bit of a slurp, and caught up with the chat a little bit. It's... I'll tell you what's coming up shortly. I won't give you any teasers. Let's have a little bit of a look, see what I've missed in the chat. Scrolling up, let's have a look. Oh, excuse me. My knees hurt to sing. PV Bandit 75 was my first amp. Still have it, and I swear it has somehow gotten heavier over the years. Yes, they tend to do that. It's like my... I have one pair of shorts that for the 2 days every summer when it gets to be shorts weather, I pull them out of the wardrobe, and do you know what happens every year? Every year they shrink in the wardrobe. Robbie F is saying, technically my first amp was my stereo. One paycheck later after getting my first guitar, I got an orange dark micro and 8-inch cab. Much better than the stereo. Yes, I absolutely ruined the speakers in my Amstrad stereo. But there we go. When you're young and foolish. Let's have a little bit of a look, see anything else I've missed. Moon's Guitars is saying my first amp was one of those little 1-watt Marshall battery powered things. I loved it at the time. I had one of those, and and then just a few short years later, they're pretty much redundant because everybody's playing through kind of Katana Airs and the little Spark Mini and everything that can, as I say, do everything except walk the dog and make you a cup of tea. The Lamb. I remember my first amp. It was real rough and cheaply made. I took it to school and got a bollocking because it was condemned in a PAT test. Yeah. I've played through gear like that. Mr. Chris, have you seen the Harley Bentons used on PMT? £10 cheaper than new. I haven't. But Chris Otterwell saying Gibson Greenie for about 2,150 on an Austrian guitar site. Okay. Dr. Gomez, I used to have one of those, a good SG copy, but I hate the Bart Simpson headstock. That is my thing, really, with the... I did a video, gosh, it's ages ago now. Can't remember how long ago, but on ugly headstock shapes. I think it was one of the top 5 Tuesday videos. And, ugly headstock shapes. And the vintage kind of 3-a-side headstock shape is decidedly unpleasant looking, I think, with all those kind of little bumps and crests. And I know why they're doing it. They put, rather than having a dip in the middle like a Gibson headstock shape like this, rather than having that, what's this called? Excuse me. Rather than having that sort of dip there in the middle, they put like the opposite of the middle, like a bump of it, and then they put another one either side to even it out, and it just looks, it doesn't work as a design, I don't think. But that's just personal taste, isn't it? What else we got to look at? Yes, Jay How Young, open book. The Jcaster is saying, I have a vintage SG. The headstock is the worst, but it plays great. It has a bigger neck than the Epiphone SGs, if you prefer that. I can't remember that far back in terms of detail. I wasn't really, back to 2009 when I had mine, I wasn't really kind of scrutinizing, neck shapes and stuff like that, mainly because it's not something that's massively on my radar. I often get a bit puzzled about how some people do get really, really kind of, I want to say anal, so I'll say anal about the neck profile. Stay away from an extremely skinny neck and stay away from an extremely kind of fat baseball back of a neck. And, I don't really notice much difference. Well, I notice the difference, but it doesn't affect my level of comfort with the guitar. Gordo Canuck is saying, if you were going to recommend a first amp, what would it be? Best amp for the least amount of money? Good question. First amp needs to be something that's simple to use, I would say. Something where you don't have to decode, what all of the cryptic references mean. Like, as experienced guitarists, we know that when a setting says tweed, it's going to sound like an early Fender amp. Or when something says Brit Class A, we know it's going to sound like a Vox AC30, but somebody who's just brand new to the guitar isn't going to know that. So it needs to be something which does a clean sound and a dirty sound. Good versions of both, with maybe built-in reverb, and doesn't present the newbie user with endless option anxiety. And I'm just trying to think what that might be. And I'm struggling, really, because most of the entry-level amps these days are all kind of entry-level modelling amps, to my knowledge. Anyway, that's certainly what I tend to see, kind of in reviews and stuff like that. It's all, and look, it'll do a million different sounds, and you've got all of these presets, and if you hold that button and press those two down together, you enter this mode, and then you've got all of this. Beginners don't need that kind of complexity, but I'm struggling to think. Maybe it's a gap in the market, or maybe it's already filled. If you have any ideas or kind of suggestions for what that might be, let me know. But it just seems to be that kind of simple, good-sounding practice amp seems to be something that's lacking these days. Maybe that's something that other manufacturers could think of. What you're saying there, Lammy? On this topic, I think that one of the reasons the Katana worked so well is that they didn't name the models by amp, just clean, crunch, lead, etc. It's totally workable from the front panel. Yeah, fair enough. I'd forgotten about the Katana. How do you forget about the Katana? It's the sort of industry standard these days, isn't it? But yeah, it's not kind of giving cryptic references to kind of amps that the beginner won't know about. Anyway, I'm blethering, and I want to read this out to you now because it's really funny. This comes from who does it come from? I can't remember. I do apologise. You know who you are when you sent this to me. This comes from a loyal viewer who's told me, he says, "Hi John, I've been buying a few guitars on Zen Market recently. I'll send some pics when they arrive. Whilst surfing through the site, I've come across some, I think, amusing translations of sales. Might be a slot for the Friday live stream. I include a few here. Hopefully you enjoy." Oh, it's Vincent Brennan. He signed it Vincent Brennan. Again, pilot error. I do beg your pardon, Vincent. So these are translations taken from various descriptions on a Japanese auction site. Okay. These really made me chuckle. K-Garage Les Paul type electric guitar has arrived. 2 humbuckers, a simple manly structure. This one's really good. Epiphone Les Paul Custom 3 pickup hard relic. The condition of the electrical system and neck is good, but this guitar was relic processed at the shop. Since relic processing is a matter of personal preference, we have decided to treat it as junk. Hear. Gretsch 1964 Tennessean vintage full acoustic, semi-acoustic country gentleman. These are knobs from a 1964 Tennessean. Okay. Blitz Les Paul Custom type, classic rock. A copy model of the Les Paul Custom. The thick, clean sound and warm distortion will raise the tension of the player. I'm sure it will. Manufacturer unknown semi-acoustic. The manufacturer is unknown because the logo has been scraped off. Since it doesn't look good, an inlay sticker has been applied. Gibson Vintage Knobs 1956 to 1960 Les Paul Old Parts. This is an original knob removed from a 50s guitar. If it is loose, please cover it with vinyl tape. Here's one. For women, Black Glitter Stratocaster Gypsy Rose. Short scale black glitter Stratocaster electric guitar for women. I think it is in good condition, but the pickguard is warped and the condition of the grub screw is not good. Squire by Affinity Series Stratocaster, special price due to truss rod limit. With a lightweight body that is easy for women to hold, medium jumbo frets that allow for smooth fingering, and an easy to grip C-shaped neck. Photogenic Les Paul John Sykes style electric guitar with case. When I play Whitesnake or Blue Murder with this, I get excited. Yeah, it's maybe they didn't come across as being as funny when read out loud, but when you're reading it in black and white in text, it just does sort of it reminds you of every instruction manual that you get with every piece of equipment these days. You know those instruction manuals where they call it an instruction manual, but what it actually is a sheet of half A4 paper folded into quarters, and in each kind of segment there's instructions in multiple different languages, and you need like an electron microscope to learn how to kind of turn the damn thing on from reading the instructions. But such is the way of the world, I think. A Life Mine is asking me something. John, I was going to ask the Lamb, but I'll also ask you. Neck profile, C profile, D profile. Is it bollocks, or are they massively different? I'm erring on the side of it's a bit sort of, bollocks, really, if I'm honest. It's I can't. People say, "Oh, this is a D profile," and I buggered if I can see a letter D in, when you kind of put the old contour gauge on it. I seldom use those terms because I don't really know what they mean. And it's one person's C profile neck can be another person's D profile neck. And I've read up on this, and I've read the exact same description for what people call a C profile neck, will get later applied to what some other people are calling a D profile neck. I don't I don't know. It's again, if someone like me who's made a living, out of playing the guitar since 1991, can't really ascertain any sort of definitive differences between these things, then I suspect it is just a bit subjective, really. The neck on my PRS, for example, is what they call the wide thin neck. Now, it doesn't feel particularly wide, and it's not that thin. The neck on that PRS feels a bit like the neck on my old Gordon Smith. And I can't remember what the neck profile was stated on that. It's just you pick up a guitar, and I think you either vibe with it or you don't. It's either something that really floats your boat or it isn't. And as long as it's not too far in any extreme, I can pick up a guitar, and 5 minutes later I'm acclimatized to it, and I can play it. There is one guitar, only one guitar that I can think of in recent years, and it's one that I haven't posted the review of yet, but it is coming up pretty soon on the channel. There's only one guitar I can think of where I thought, yeah, this neck profile just tires my hands out and makes me feel uncomfortable. So it's not something that I hold a massive amount of importance to. It's just, but other people may differ. Your mileage may vary. Jay Aoyong is saying, can't understand PRS terminology, bass pickup, treble pickup. Bass pickup is the neck pickup, treble is the bridge pickup. That's basically like on a Les Paul on the poker chip where it says rhythm and treble, the treble is always the bridge pickup. It's, I guess the bass pickup sounds, the neck pickup sounds bassier than the bridge pickup. So when you play a guitar, when it's switched to the neck pickup, it sounds warmer and softer than the same guitar played on the bridge pickup, which sounds treblier and more kind of high frequencies involved. So I kind of get that one, but I do know what you mean, mate. Some of the terminology it gets lost on me as well. Let's have a look. Classification, baseball bat or not, says Triple Distill. Well, baseball bat necks tend to refer to those kind of 58, is it 58 Les Pauls that have said, it just means it's a big old chunky lump of timber. But I don't necessarily think that means that it's going to be uncomfortable or difficult to play, because it's to do with the ergonomics of the guitar. How comfortable is the guitar to play? And apart from things like a skinny Ibanez 80 shreddy wizard neck, which I never ever got on with, I always found those necks kind of very tiring to play. The thing is, initially they do feel this feels like really slick and everything, but you just notice that. I mean, I had an Ibanez guitar briefly in the early 90s that was that kind of neck profile, and I gigged it, and my hand was kind of quite achy and not very accommodating the next day when I went back to playing me Strat. So that aside, I don't tend to make a lot of value judgments about neck. If I can pick it up and it's initially comfortable and I'll kind of acclimatise to it, then that's all I need. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one there. I meant to click on Dave Lewis. Have you received my readers' wives' guitar pictures I've been sending you? Dave, I haven't had an email from you in months, mate. I thought you'd fallen out with me. I don't know. Maybe I'll check my spam folder, but I haven't had an email from you in I don't know how long. So the answer is no, I haven't. Robert Forsyth is saying, what about a brass neck? Essential for all guitar players. Yes, you've got to have a little bit of that, haven't you? Dr. Gomez one is saying, my Epiphone Les Paul Special has a baseball back neck. Yeah, there's one of my students that comes to the house for lessons. He occasionally brings along his Epiphone Billy Joe Armstrong Les Paul Junior. It's a single pickup one. And that's got a fairly chunky neck on it that feels sort of quite, substantial. But again, I played that in the lessons a few times when he's loaned it to me, just to kind of say, okay, we'll see what you think of this. And the immediate reaction is, oh yeah, this feels a bit different. But it's not something, oh, this feels uncomfortable. It doesn't give me that kind of vibe. Let's have a look. Calby, what you're saying there, mate? My Harley Burton, my HB 35 Plus has a nice round neck. I forget about it in a few seconds. That's the best thing any guitar can do, is just to kind of get out of your way and let you just get on with the business of playing. If you're constantly having to, adjust your posture and your kind of hand position to take account of some kind of characteristic of the guitar, the neck or the body for that matter, then, that tends to be a tick in the minus column for me. Dave Lewis is saying, geez, man, I've sent loads and 6 last week, including info. I didn't get them, mate. As I say, I'll check my spam folder, but, they are conspicuous by their absence in my inbox. Rent to Kill is saying, how's the lovely Dougal this week? He's been a bit mischievous today, and I haven't got time to tell you what it is, but he likes stealing things. And, yes, he's moved on to the furniture. Now, he doesn't steal the sofa, but he tries to steal the cushions and anyway. But it's all part of his charm. Anyway, chaps, don't forget Steve Cassidy in about a minute and a half's time, straight after we wrap this up here, which is what I'm going to do now. I've got a curry waiting for me downstairs and I'm starting to get a bit peckish. So we'll wrap it up there for now, gents. Thank you so much for turning up and watching a fat, bald northern lad talk absolute cobblers for an hour. It's been a blast and I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.